Do you believe our world is still filled with countless mysteries that no one has been able to solve? From the chilling legend of the Kandahar giant and the ancient blood towers of the Caucasus, to the deadly experiments of Nazi Germany, buried for hundreds of years, let us take you on a journey to uncover some of the greatest mysteries in human history in today's video. So, fasten your seatbelt as we dive into today's mystery. But first, you'll have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before this video ends. The Giant of Kandahar. The Giant of Kandahar, one of the most famous and debated modern legends of the 21st century, has left not only the military community, but also mystery lovers around the world stunned and puzzled. People have long told stories that in ancient times, different races of giants once lived alongside modern humans in many lands. They are mentioned in Western mythology, native legends, and even in the Bible. However, most accounts claim that this race of giants died out thousands of years ago, surviving only in faded pages of history and scattered bones in museums big and small across the world. But then, in the fiery conflict of Afghanistan in 2002, the story of the giant unexpectedly came alive again, far beyond the boundaries of legend. A team of American Special Forces was sent to the dangerous mountains of Kandahar to look into the mysterious disappearance of a patrol unit. What they found sent chills down their spines: broken gear, bloodstains scattered about, and human bones mixed together under the trees, leading all the way to the mouth of a large cave. And then, as the soldiers ventured inside, the unthinkable happened. A terrifyingly massive creature with a powerful build, flaming red hair, and animal skins draped over its body suddenly emerged from the darkness. This being towered over any normal human and carried in its hand a large homemade spear tipped with sharpened stone. What followed was a short but fierce fight, leaving a trauma that none of the participants would ever forget. The giant, with strength far beyond that of any human, brought down a member of the Special Forces team with a single deadly thrust. It took 30 seconds of continuous gunfire before the American soldiers were able to bring the strange creature down. When they moved in to examine it, they were stunned to find that the body stood over 13 feet tall, with 6 fingers on each hand, 2 rows of shark-like teeth, rough skin, and weighed up to 2,600 pounds, far surpassing any biological limits ever recorded by science. This is where the mystery truly began. Though the soldiers reported their findings up the chain of command, the creature's body was quickly airlifted away by a heavy-lift helicopter and disappeared without a trace. All information about the event was then kept strictly confidential by the US military. No one knows where the body of the Kandahar giant is now. No scientific report has ever been publicly released, and everything seems to have sunk into the darkness of classified files. Even when the US Department of Defense was asked about the incident, they neither confirmed nor denied it, fueling further suspicion that something real was being hidden behind a veil of secrecy. Many people believe that this creature could be a descendant of the Nephilim, mentioned in the Bible, a race of giants said to have been punished and wiped out by God in the Great Flood. Others suggest it might be a remnant of an ancient human lineage, surviving in isolation in the rugged mountains of Afghanistan. Whatever its origins, the story has been reinforced by the account of a former US Special Forces veteran, who revealed in detail the tracking process and the terrifying battle inside the cave. According to his story, every team member was required to sign an agreement to keep the incident strictly confidential, with no information permitted to leave the group. The story grew even more extraordinary when years later, a series of mysterious disappearances of soldiers continued to occur in these mountains. Many patrol teams entered the deep forest, only to vanish without a trace, leaving behind only their equipment, backpacks, and destroyed weapons scattered in dark caves. Clues that remind people of the cave where the giant once appeared. No one dares to say for certain what really happened, because the full truth remains far beyond the reach of ordinary people. Today, the story of the Kandahar giant continues to divide public opinion. Some believe it stands as evidence of secrets still hidden deep beneath the earth, a warning about the limits of human understanding. Others insist it is nothing more than a product of shared imagination, conspiracy theories, and legends exaggerated by social media. While there remains no solid proof, every time the story is retold, it still sends chills down the spine while feeding the desire to uncover the world's unsolved mysteries. The blood towers of the Caucasus. Hidden among the majestic mountain ranges of the Caucasus, the ancient stone towers of the Savan people still stand tall after centuries. Silent witnesses to the long and often turbulent history of Georgia. These towers are far more than simple defensive structures. They are vivid symbols of the spirit, honor, and traditions of an entire community that has lasted for thousands of years. As early as the 8th century, The Svans began to build these sturdy towers along the steep mountain slopes. Each tower typically rises to a great height, standing alone on hilltops or nestled among small villages with walls as thick as fortresses. They served not only as protection against sudden attacks, but also as safe havens whenever blood feuds broke out. A deeply rooted custom that has shaped Svan life from ancient times up to the present day. In this land, family honor is regarded as a sacred value, at times considered even greater than life itself. If a member of the community is insulted or killed, the entire clan will rise up to reclaim justice at any cost. These ongoing family feuds form an endless cycle of revenge, forcing every family to remain constantly alert. It was precisely for this reason that the stone towers became family fortresses where women, children, and non-combatants could take shelter, while the men would stand guard and defend the survival of their lineage. Far from being mere architectural relics, the blood towers vividly reflect a society organized around close family ties, where traditional laws and the spirit of togetherness are most important. Even today, these ancient towers remain as reminders of a challenging past, where every stone bears witness to the pride and unique cultural identity of the Svan people, a mountain nation that has lived for centuries amidst harsh nature, never once giving in to any outside power. Nazi Germany's nerve agents. In the dark years leading up to the Second World War, as all of Europe braced itself in the shadow of conflict, the secret laboratories of Nazi Germany became the birthplace of one of humanity's most terrifying inventions: nerve agents. It all began with what seemed like a harmless goal: German chemists racing to develop new pesticides to protect the country's crops from the damage of insects. Yet, during a series of experimental mixtures, chemist Gerhard Schrader accidentally created a compound far beyond anyone's expectations. This chemical didn't just kill pests. It could destroy the nervous systems of all living creatures with only the smallest dose. This was tabun, the world's first nerve agent. The discovery quickly caught the attention of Nazi Germany's military circles. Those who thought daily about the dream of devastating weapons instantly recognized tabun's deadly potential, and research was rapidly expanded to develop more types of nerve gas, most notably sarin, a compound even more lethal than tabun, capable of killing within moments. Secret factories sprang up, production lines ran at full speed, and the German war machine prepared for a scale of chemical warfare unlike anything the world had ever seen. Yet, the great irony lay with Hitler himself, the dictator who would haunt history for his endless brutality. Even with stockpiles of nerve gas and the ability to spread death on a massive scale, Hitler refused to allow these horrific weapons to be used in battle. The reason lay in his own past. During the First World War, he had once been the victim of a gas attack, experiencing firsthand the depths of fear and pain. This experience led him to view chemical weapons as a last line that should never be crossed, at least not on the European front. As the war drew to its end and the Nazis fell, the scientists who had helped create these deadly compounds suddenly became highly sought-after targets by both Allied powers. A fierce race to capture scientific talent erupted. Many of these individuals were quickly taken to the United States or Britain under new identities, beginning a new chapter in the history of global science and military affairs. From their secret wartime laboratories, they went on to advance chemistry, medicine, and even played roles in laying the foundations of space technology, fueling remarkable leaps in science and technology in the post-war era. The legacy of Nazi Germany's nerve agents, therefore, is not just a haunting memory from a dark period, but a powerful reminder of the terrifying underside of human cleverness. Discoveries that begin with the hope of improving life can become weapons of unlimited destruction and death. In the end, the story of tabun sarin and Nazi nerve agents stands as a warning about the very thin line between science that serves life and the darkness of slaughter and war, where every invention carries within it two faces, waiting for humanity to choose how they will be used in the future. Beelzebub. In the world of Western religion and legend, the name Beelzebub always brings an eerie, haunting feeling. Known as one of the most powerful figures in the underworld, Beelzebub is not just a symbol of evil, but also the embodiment of devilish intelligence and some of the most cunning tricks ever recorded in the history of faith. Yet few realize that the true origin of this Lord of the Flies began with ancient beliefs on the border between cultures and mythological traditions. Originally, Beelzebub was a god worshipped in the Near East under the name Baal-zebub, meaning Lord of Ekron. In the eyes of ancient people, he was a powerful god protecting the city, filled with sacred meaning and supernatural might. However, as Judaism developed and slowly overshadowed the local religions, the image of this foreign god was changed, eventually becoming an enemy of God and finally slandered as the Lord of the Flies. representing filth, decay, and all that was most unclean in the world. In the Hebrew Bible and ancient texts, the name Beelzebub appears as a symbol of the devil, always linked to stirring up rebellion against God. By the Middle Ages, Western theologians and writers on demonology had further shaped the image of Beelzebub, raising him to one of the most powerful princes of hell. In many records, Beelzebub was ranked just below Lucifer in terms of power, intelligence, and evil. Beelzebub is not simply a symbol of demonic evil. He is also linked to strange phenomena, swarms of flies appearing as signs of disaster, uncontrolled outbreaks of plague, and all kinds of misfortune that cause people to live in fear and confusion. His name is also forever tied to the chilling witch trials, where anyone suspected of dealing with Beelzebub faced torture and a tragic end. To this day, Beelzebub continues to appear often in popular culture, from horror films to novels and comic books. Whether shown as a monstrous demon, or as a swarm of buzzing flies over rotting flesh, the fear his name brings has never faded. He remains an undying symbol of human downfall, and the lasting fear of forces beyond control, where the line between the divine and the demonic is but a thin veil, and the collapse of faith can sometimes begin with nothing more than a single fly. The Apocalypse of Peter. There are books that were once regarded as the very handbooks of faith, only to be forgotten for centuries. The Apocalypse of Peter is just such a hidden revelation, one that once fired the imagination of generations of ancient believers in the 2nd century AD. This book was so widespread that at times it was copied and passed around even more than the Book of Revelation found in today's Bible. Unlike other official texts that often speak with restraint about the afterlife, the Apocalypse of Peter throws open the door, leading readers straight into heaven and hell, with images that are strikingly vivid and powerful. According to legend, this is a record of a vision that the Apostle Peter, the closest disciple of Jesus, was given by the Lord himself. In the story, Jesus leads Peter through the heavens, allowing him to see firsthand the rewards waiting for the righteous and the dreadful punishments kept for sinners. In the surviving pages, Peter tells of a chilling journey through hell, a place where wrongdoers are subjected to every kind of haunting torment. There, liars are hung upside down by their tongues, mouths oozing with blood and pus. Adulterers are suspended over bubbling pits of mud. Murderers are thrown into holes filled with poisonous snakes, and blasphemers are burned alive, endlessly eaten by worms. The images of women dressed immodestly, hung by their hair over fiery pits, or those who have had abortions plunged into pits of filth, their children turned into burning flames, are impossible to forget. Hell appears not only as a place of physical suffering, but as a judgment for every hidden corner of the human soul. In contrast, heaven in Peter's vision is flooded with light, music, sweet fruit, and the songs of angels. The righteous there are clothed in garments of light, walk through sweet-smelling fields of flowers, their hair adorned with rainbow blossoms. In this place, all earthly pain and injustice fade away, leaving only endless joy. There was a time when the Apocalypse of Peter was considered an essential holy book for many early Christian communities. Its painful images did not merely reflect a terror of evil, but also served as a strong warning about the results of sin and the saving power of faith. Yet, exactly because it was so direct and unflinching, the Apocalypse of Peter was slowly left out of the official list, giving way to a gentler, more symbolic vision of the afterlife. Today, most of the book's content survives only in scattered manuscripts, but its echoes still hang like a warning bell about the line between good and evil, about the final choice each person faces on their spiritual journey. The Apocalypse of Peter is not simply a tale of hell and heaven, but a deep portrait of humanity's deepest fears and longing for forgiveness. Mad honey. Amid the mist-covered slopes along the Black Sea, where nature still holds on to its wild and mysterious beauty, there exists a type of honey that has made the world mad. Mad honey. This honey is not only as sweet as the first sunlight of spring, but within it lies a dangerous power that was once considered a secret weapon on ancient battlefields. The bees here often gather nectar from flowers like wild rhododendrons, producing a shiny amber honey that seems harmless at first glance, but actually contains a natural compound called grain, a toxin. Just a small amount is enough to send a person into a hallucinogenic daze, cause confusion, disrupt the heart's rhythm, and even lead to nervous system paralysis if taken in excess. Since ancient times, drops of mad honey have been used as a deadly sweet trap along the marching routes of some of the most famous armies in the ancient world. There were times when seemingly innocent jars of honey were secretly scattered along the way, turning the Greek army under Xenophon, the Roman legions of General Pompey, and even Russian forces in the Middle Ages into unsuspecting victims. After eating this honey, soldiers would stumble and lose consciousness, their minds clouded and unable to fight. In a matter of moments, these once mighty armies became easy targets for sudden attacks, falling to complete defeat before they ever understood what had happened. This deadly secret is not only found in the pages of history, but still lives on today as a real-world legend. In the mountain villages of Turkey, mad honey is still sought after as a valuable medicinal substance. Even though the price for a single liter can reach hundreds of dollars, locals believe that in extremely small doses, this special honey can help treat conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, and even relieve stomach pain. Yet, its story doesn't end with medicinal uses among thrill seekers, and the curious mad honey is a gateway to extraordinary journeys of the mind. To get this honey, bee hunters must risk their very lives, hanging from steep cliffs, facing swarms of aggressive bees just to harvest each precious hive. Every drop of honey is the result of such daring adventures, of a history marked by war and of medical mysteries that remain unsolved. Even today, the story of mad honey continues to fascinate people, not just for its sweet aftertaste, but for the lasting sense of danger and wonder it has left with humanity over thousands of years. The ancient campsite, across the wide open space of Holloman Air Force Base, a secret lay undisturbed for thousands of years before finally coming to light. During environmental conservation efforts and geological surveys, archaeologists unexpectedly found an ancient campsite dating back as far as 8,200 years. Buried deep beneath the sands of the Tularosa Basin, what seemed to be nothing more than a windswept, sun-baked stretch of land turned out to be a place of rest and life for some of the very first people ever to set foot in this harsh western region of the United States. The site was not merely the remains of a single shelter, but the traces of an entire camp, almost like a small village, where groups gathered together, children ran around campfires, adults tended hearths, made tools, and shared meals by the firelight. Traces of charcoal and ash, still black beneath the earth, tell the story of cold nights, when fire was the only source of life in the vast desert. Alongside them were countless flint tools, sharp little flakes, and even several grinding stones, proof of the skill and creativity of early humans. The discovery of this ancient campsite has opened a completely new view of the adaptability and social structure of prehistoric people in the American Southwest. Far from being mere wandering hunter-gatherers, these people knew how to choose sites with plenty of water and food, build shelters, pass down the art of making fire, craft tools, and perhaps even maintain traditions that held the community together across generations. Each object, every hearth, and every mark on a piece of stone are the traces of a time of change. From a wandering life of hunting to a semi-settled existence, the first step on the long road to the birth of great civilizations in the Americas. Today, the remains uncovered at Holloman hold not only archaeological value, but also serve as clear proof of human endurance and creativity in the face of nature's challenges. The white sands have kept these fragments of memory like a time capsule, so that when finally opened, an entire prehistoric era comes alive, real and close, amid the empty desert. With every layer uncovered, scientists listen once more to the unspoken stories of those who lived, overcame hardship, and left their footprints along humanity's path of development. The Devil's Book. In the history of Western religion and law, few symbols are as haunting as the Devil's Book. That invisible book of hell, where with a single signature a person's fate is said to be forever tied in darkness under the power of Satan. This is not merely legend, but a living fear that clung to European and American society from the Middle Ages well into the late 17th century, becoming a powerful weapon during the witch hunts, ending in the infamous and chilling Salem trials. The idea of the Devil's Book was rooted in a deeply unsettling religious logic. If a believer was required to sign the church register as an agreement with God, then a traitor, a witch, or anyone who strayed onto the path of evil was thought to go through a similar ritual with Satan. This book had no physical form. No one ever truly saw it, but in the minds of the faithful, it was solid proof of guilt. The simple accusation that someone had signed the Devil's Book was nearly equal to a death sentence, overriding all material evidence. The peak of this terror came during the Salem witch trials of 1692. In an atmosphere thick with worry and suspicion, accusations spread like wildfire. Dozens of women and even men and children were found guilty of having been forced or willing to sign their names in the Devil's Book. Chilling stories were told in court. Some claimed to be visited by spirits tempting them to sign. Others swore they saw witches bring out the book and threaten them with the forces of darkness. Most notably, the testimonies of young girls like Abigail Williams and Mercy Lewis became key evidence as they described in vivid detail how neighbors had tricked them into signing the Devil's Book. No one needed to see the actual book. No physical proof was necessary. A single accusation was enough to bring people to the gallows. In the public mind, the Devil's Book became a door with no return. Anyone who crossed its threshold would never come back. For the Puritans in Salem, even refusing to sign the church register was suspicious, let alone being accused of having promised one's soul to the devil. The result was that dozens were executed and hundreds more jailed or tortured, all because of fear over a contract with Satan that no one had ever actually seen. Today, the Devil's Book stands as a symbol of extreme belief and the dangers of social prejudice not grounded in reason. It serves as a sharp reminder of the power of faith and fear, how together they can turn anyone into a victim and change an entire community into a place of punishment without evidence. Behind the myth lies a deep lesson about tolerance, the danger of quick judgment, and the very thin line between justice and darkness. The mystery of the Hobbits. In 2003, the scientific world was shaken when archaeologists discovered the skeletons of a tiny human species on the island of Flores, Indonesia. This species was officially named Homo floresiensis, but it quickly became known by the familiar nickname the Hobbits, inspired by the small characters from J.R.R. Tolkien's famous works. The remaining skeletons revealed that these hobbits stood less than 4 feet tall, with compact bodies, yet skulls and bones that were completely different from those of modern humans. What amazed scientists was the fact that they had lived in isolation on Flores for tens of thousands of years, living alongside strange prehistoric animals in a world almost completely cut off from the rest of humanity. The hobbits were not only small in size, but also had many unique traits. Their brains were only about 1/3 the size of ours. Yet, the evidence suggests they knew how to make stone tools, hunt, and may have even mastered fire key skills for any early community. The long survival of this species shows that in the distant past, the Earth may have been shared by many different kinds of humans, but for reasons unknown, only modern humans survived to the present day. The discovery of the hobbits has also raised deep questions about our evolutionary history. How did such a small-bodied species manage to survive so long on an isolated island, going through major shifts in climate and geology? And could there be other traces of ancient human lines still waiting to be found in remote corners of the world? This book is not only a rare object, but also a living proof of one of humanity's greatest tragedies, the cruel twisting of faith to serve the purpose of controlling others. First appearing in the British colonies of the West Indies in 1807, the slave Bible was unlike any other. Instead of bringing hope, kindness, and messages of freedom, nearly every passage about liberation, resistance, and justice was removed. Only certain chapters urging obedience, acceptance, or even encouraging passive suffering as the will of God were left behind, whereas the traditional Bible contains thousands of chapters telling of the Israelites' escape from Egyptian slavery and the desire to overcome all chains for the sake of freedom. In the slave Bible, 90% of the Old Testament and more than half of the New Testament were cut out. Stories like Moses leading the Jews out of slavery, miracles in which God helps people rise above their fate, all of these were erased. In their place, commands such as, "Servants, be obedient to your masters," were kept, repeated as the only message, and planted into the souls of the oppressed. Plantation owners feared that if enslaved people learned of freedom and their right to rise up against injustice, there would be no way to control them. And so, under the appearance of missionary work, they printed countless copies of the slave Bible, turning scripture into a tool to make exploitation seem right. For those enslaved, the book that should have been the greatest source of comfort in faith became an invisible chain, silencing any will to resist. Today, only 3 copies of the slave Bible are known to exist in the world, and one of them is displayed with quiet dignity in Washington, D.C. As a painful reminder of the past, the worn pages themselves bear witness to a cruel scheme. When people are willing to twist even the word of God for the sake of power, the tragedy goes far beyond the body and reaches deep into the soul. The story of the slave Bible is not just a lesson about the horrors of colonialism and slavery, but a warning about the power of knowledge and the right to know the truth. Only when the light of truth shines can faith become the driving force that leads humanity out of the darkness of oppression and toward a future of freedom and justice. Niccolo Paganini. Some names are etched into history, not only for their talent, but also for the dark legends that surround them. Niccolo Paganini is one such figure. Born in Genoa, Italy, at the end of the 18th century, Paganini astonished the world from a young age. With a musical ability far beyond what seemed humanly possible as a child, he could already play the mandolin and soon moved on to the violin by his teenage years. He had conquered major stages, leaving even the masters of his era in silent awe of his skill. But this extraordinary talent was more than just the result of hard work or natural gift. It was wrapped in a chilling, mysterious aura. In an age when people believed no one could reach such heights without help from supernatural forces, rumors spread quickly across Europe that Paganini had sold his soul to the devil in exchange for his amazing technique. Some whispered that it was actually Paganini's mother who made a deal with the devil when he was just a child, trading her son's soul and future for fame and glory. Every time Paganini appeared on stage, the audience was spellbound, both enchanted by the music and unsettled by the presence of an artist who seemed almost possessed. His slender fingers danced across the strings, producing sounds no one had ever heard before, while his deep, hollow eyes appeared to gaze into another world. His music was more than art. It was almost a form of sorcery, sending chills through listeners, leaving them trembling between joy and terror. And so the ghostly stories began to grow. Some claimed Paganini used violin strings made from the intestines of women he loved, that each note was the wail of a soul trapped inside his instrument. These dark tales only added to his legendary image, brilliant and terrifying all at once. But behind the glare of the spotlight was a life marked by tragedy. Paganini fell early into drink, gambling, and short romances, haunted by loneliness and shifting moods. At times, he would appear in a crowd, his gaze drifting off to some distant place, where only he, his music, and the shadow of fate existed. His talent raised him to the highest peaks, but also trapped him within the legends created by others. Even after his death, debates raged. Was Paganini a pure genius or merely a tool of the devil's power? Yet, no matter how many mysteries surround him, Paganini's music lives on, standing as proof of the price humanity is willing to pay to reach immortality in art, even if it means crossing the line between light and darkness. The unsolved secrets of Machu Picchu, the pyramids, and other great sites. Today, thanks to the amazing advances of modern technology, the thousand-year mysteries of great monuments, such as Machu Picchu, the ancient pyramids, and long-lost cities are slowly being revealed to humanity in ways no one could have imagined. Drone technology, LiDAR scanning systems, and artificial intelligence have become the new eyes of archaeology, allowing researchers to peel back layers of thick plants or centuries of earth and stone to reach structures still hidden deep underground. In the Andes, Machu Picchu has long stood as a symbol of the greatness of the Inca civilization, but recent discoveries have shown that what we know is only a very small part of the whole story. With drones and LiDAR, dozens of nearby structures have been uncovered, along with water channels, secret passages, and ceremonial sites that were once hidden by jungle. Similarly, in the forests of Guatemala, whole Maya cities, containing tens of thousands of buildings, pyramids, and complex road networks, have come into sharp focus thanks to aerial laser surveys, something that just a few decades ago would have been considered an impossible dream. The reach of modern technology does not stop in the Americas. It has also expanded the search for the origins and building methods of Egypt's pyramids, the mysterious stone temples of Southeast Asia, and the huge architectural complexes of Central America, like Teotihuacan. Every time a new pyramid is identified or an ancient city emerges from beneath layers of earth and stone, questions arise. Who built these wonders? How were they built? And for what purpose? These mysteries fuel speculation about civilizations even older and more complex than the dynasties recorded in history. In particular, artificial intelligence has opened up new possibilities for understanding ancient languages, helping scientists slowly gain a clearer picture of the worldview, religion, and spiritual life of past peoples. Forgotten characters in ancient texts once impossible to read are now being analyzed, rebuilt, and connected by AI, paving the way for discoveries that could completely change how we see human history. It could be said that never before has the journey to decode the secrets of the world's greatest archaeological sites been so full of suspense and hope. With every new discovery, the picture of lost civilizations becomes clearer, and the big questions about the true origins of humanity wait for the day when they are finally uncovered in full. Amid the rugged and empty mountain ranges of Afghanistan, in 2012, a sensational story began to spread and capture the world's curiosity. According to many unverified sources, during a secret military operation, American soldiers unexpectedly found a strange ancient object deep within a cave. Not gold or precious stones, but a Vimana, the legendary flying machine once described in ancient Indian epics. The appearance of this object suddenly made every theory about prehistoric technology come alive more vividly than ever before. According to accounts from unnamed witnesses, this Vimana was not simply a leftover of an ancient relic. but seem to exist in a mysterious state, apparently protected by some form of puzzling time trap. When a team of 8 soldiers tried to approach and remove the object from the cave, they all suddenly vanished without a trace. No further signals were heard, and no contact could be made with the soldiers. All electronic devices appeared to become paralyzed when they reached the cave's entrance. Military and technical experts kept sending in more rescue teams, but all were forced to turn back before a strange space barrier, where reality itself seemed to twist and every effort to get close failed. The story of the Vimana once again made archaeologists and historians question themselves. Could it be that the records in the Mahabharata and Ramayana about flying chariots, weapons of light and battles in the open skies, were not merely legends, but actually hid a level of technology far beyond the imagination of the modern world? In the ancient texts, Vimanas are described as flying machines capable of moving through the air, underwater, and even traveling through different levels of space. They had powerful weapons, engines with unknown principles, solar energy, and even the abilities of invisibility or instant teleportation. Each description sounded more like a plan for futuristic high-tech weaponry than something belonging to a civilization thousands of years old. The discovery of the Vimana, although not yet proven, has sparked a wave of debate about the possible advanced development of ancient Indian civilization. Many scholars believe that if this story is true, it would be proof that knowledge of physics, astronomy, energy, and machine building among the ancients had once reached a height no less than that of the modern world, perhaps even going beyond today's understanding. Some also believe that the appearance of the Vimana is proof that there was once interaction or contact between humans and beings from outer space in the distant past. Although the truth about the Vimana remains a mystery, the story has continued to stir humanity's curiosity and passion for exploration. It opens up not only an archaeological puzzle, but also the longing to understand the unimaginable abilities that once belonged to our ancestors about chapters of history, buried under layers of earth and stone, and still waiting to be understood somewhere in this world. Modern technology uses in archaeology. In recent years, advances in modern technology have brought an entirely new wave to the field of archaeology. Scientists are no longer limited by traditional tools or manual digging methods, as in the past. Instead, the world is seeing the rise of groundbreaking technologies, from underwater robots and artificial intelligence to advanced laser scanning systems. Thanks to these innovations, mysteries that have been hidden by time for thousands of years are slowly being revealed from a completely new angle. In ancient cities buried deep within the jungle, LiDAR laser scanning technology has allowed archaeologists to redraw the map of remains hidden beneath thick layers of plants, something that in the past could only be guessed at through experience or faint traces on the ground. With laser beams sweeping across hundreds of square miles of forest, the whole structure of Maya cities, their pyramids, roads, and water systems once lost to memory, now appear clearly like a vivid painting. This technology not only saves time and effort, but also opens up the chance to understand ancient civilizations at a speed never seen before. Beyond that, artificial intelligence is also being used to understand lost ancient languages, thanks to its ability to process huge amounts of data and recognize complex patterns. AI has begun to help experts find ways to read engraved tablets and mysterious symbols that generations of scholars once found impossible to solve. This is a key step in rebuilding the still unclear parts of history, helping us better understand the worldview, thinking, and spiritual life of ancient peoples. In addition, underwater robots and remotely operated devices have become essential tools in trips to explore ancient shipwrecks, remains deep beneath the ocean floor, or within dangerous caves. They can overcome all human limits, going into dangerous or extremely narrow places without risk to human life. These modern robots not only capture images and collect samples, but can also directly take part in the digging process, even rebuilding each detail of objects in very harsh environments. Notably, biology technology has also helped bring the past back to life in ways no one ever imagined. Analyzing the DNA of ancient grape varieties in wine jars, buried for thousands of years, has revealed many unexpected secrets. Researchers have not only been able to find out the origins and mixing of plants, but have also rebuilt winemaking processes, tastes, and cooking habits of ancient peoples. Along with this, computer-based image rebuilding techniques allow us to recreate portraits, clothing, and even ceremonies and buildings that once existed, building a direct bridge between the present and lost civilizations. The combination of science, technology, and archaeology not only brings shocking discoveries, but also opens up a hopeful future for recreating human history in a truthful and lively way. What was once hidden in the darkness of time is now slowly being shown under the light of human intelligence and the power of modern technology. The Throne of Satan. Hidden among the impressive halls of the Pergamon Museum in Berlin lies a huge artifact that stops every visitor in their tracks. The Great Altar of Pergamon. This grand structure is referred to by scholars, believers, and even occultists by a far more haunting name, the Throne of Satan. The story begins with a passage from the Book of Revelation in the New Testament, where the author, believed to be St. John on the island of Patmos, writes about the 7 churches of Asia Minor. He draws special attention to the city of Pergamon. "I know where you live, where Satan has his throne." To the early faithful, these words were not merely a metaphor for evil, but a reference to a real place, a site where the forces of darkness were believed to live within the heart of humanity. Over 2,000 years ago, Pergamon was a shining center of ancient Greek civilization. Atop a hill overlooking the Aegean Sea, the ancients built the Great Altar of Pergamon, a huge construction with bright white steps and carvings showing epic battles between gods and demons. For the Greeks, it was an altar dedicated to Zeus, the ruler of Olympus. Yet, as the Roman Empire rose and Christianity spread, the altar took on new meaning, wrapped in an aura of mystery, and finally seen as the throne of Satan by early Christian leaders. This throne became not just a symbol of an opposing faith, but a test of belief for the earliest followers. According to Revelation, Pergamon was the site of cruel persecution, where figures like Antipas, the steadfast martyr, lost their lives for their faith. This context made the image of the throne of Satan all the more chilling, a challenge made real in daily life, where the forces of darkness were not only hidden, but shown at the very center of civilization. Modern theories suggest that the throne was not just a religious symbol, but also reflected historical realities. Pergamon was once a seat of power, knowledge, and the most elaborate pagan rituals in Asia Minor, home to grand temples dedicated to foreign gods, and a meeting place for mysterious ceremonies, all of which to Christians stood against the truth of God. When the ruins of Pergamon were uncovered in the 19th century and moved to Berlin, the Great Altar became not just an archaeological treasure, but a reminder of an age of conflict between light and darkness, between human reason and sacred fear. Seen through a symbolic lens, the throne of Satan is not merely a stone chair, but a metaphor for the power of evil hiding within centers of authority and in the grand strongholds of mankind. It is a place where darkness can rule, even in the heights of civilization. A sharp reminder of the thin line between light and shadow in human history. Even today, as visitors walk into the Pergamon Museum and stand before that huge altar, they face not just an ancient masterpiece, but the echo of thousands of years of belief, fear, and questions that have never truly been answered. The mysterious tomb in Spain and its cosmic connection. An ancient tomb recently found amid the wild countryside of Spain, estimated to be 5,400 years old, is stirring up many questions and debates in the international archaeological community. What truly excites researchers is a remarkable phenomenon that happens only once a year. On the exact day of the summer solstice, the morning sunlight shines straight through the tomb's entrance, lighting up the innermost room deep within. That moment lasts only an instant before everything slips back into darkness, like a mysterious switch that is turned on and then off in the heart of the earth. Even more astonishing, more than 1,000 miles to the northwest, the tomb of Newgrange in Ireland, built 4 centuries earlier, has the same sun-catching design perfectly lined up to welcome the solstice sun with amazing precision. These 2 monuments, separated by large distances in both space and time, were both designed to catch sunlight in a sacred ritual at the most important moment of the year. This likeness presents a deep mystery. Did the ancient peoples of these distant lands have some kind of connection? Did there once exist a large network spreading ancient beliefs across Europe? Or is this merely a coincidence in humanity's understanding of the universe and life itself? To this day, no one has given a clear answer. Yet each year, as sunlight reaches into the depths of ancient stone, the story of these light-catching structures and the mysterious faith of our ancestors continues to challenge the imagination of all humankind. The Gallowglass mercenaries of Ireland. Beneath the mist of medieval Irish fields, the shapes of the Gallowglass warriors rise as symbols of fierceness and change. In European history, the Gallowglass were not regular standing armies, but top mercenaries who struck fear into the hearts of every powerful lord in Ireland. They came from Scotland, where Viking blood had mixed with that of the native peoples for generations, producing warriors of amazing strength, using heavy weapons, and showing exceptional fighting skills. Old records tell that the Gallowglass first appeared in Ireland in the mid-13th century, at a time when the country was split by local powers and facing outside expansion. In those unsettled days, chieftains and lords did not hesitate to hire the Gallowglass as personal guards or leaders for their private armies. They often took part in decisive battles, standing at the front lines or protecting the most important figures, dressed in iron armor, carrying huge axes and wearing the distinctive cloaks of the northern seafaring peoples. What set the Gallowglass apart was their lack of loyalty to any one side. They were ready to serve anyone who could pay native Irish or foreign invader alike. There were even battles where opposing Gallowglass bands found themselves on different sides, turning the fight into a fierce contest between warriors of the same origin. Their presence did not just shift the balance of internal wars, it also pushed a wave of cultural exchange and mixing between Scotland, Ireland, and even other Nordic countries. In every tale passed down through generations, the Gallowglass are remembered as both a source of fear and of pride, proof of an age when loyalty and the lines between cultures and bloodlines were always shifting. As the power of kingdoms increasingly gathered in the hands of larger forces, the role of mercenaries like the Gallowglass slowly faded into history. Yet the mark they left remains strong in the memory of the Irish, where every hill and crossroads might still echo with the footsteps of these warriors of mixed Viking and Celtic descent. A living reminder of a troubled time, where the line between friend and foe, homeland and foreign land, was always as shifting and hard to grasp as the morning mist. Other mysteries of animals, society, religion, and culture. In the journey to uncover the mysteries of the past, we cannot overlook the fascinating stories that revolve around the animal world. Social life, religion, and ancient cultures, puzzles that science has yet to fully explain. One of the most interesting details appears in ancient Egypt, where it is believed that people not only worshipped, but may have trained baboons to take part in social life as policemen. Images of monkeys wearing hats, keeping order in markets, or even helping catch criminals were once carved into walls and shown in art, revealing a level of animal training that even the modern world would find amazing. It wasn't just Egypt. Great civilizations, such as the Maya, the Inca, and prehistoric societies across Asia and the Middle East, have left lasting marks through their achievements in building, city planning, farming, and complex water systems. The Maya, with cities like Tikal, Palenque, and Chichen Itza, built huge pyramids, ancient ball courts, and dense networks of roads and canals, all showing a highly organized and developed society. Recent archaeological discoveries show that the ancient methods of hillside farming, water management, and use of natural resources are still wrapped in mystery, often going beyond the imagination of later generations. Behind the greatness of these structures and cultures, countless buried ruins and abandoned cities remain as unanswered questions about the fate of ancient civilizations. Teotihuacan in central Mexico is a prime example. Once the largest city center in ancient America, with its Avenue of the Dead and magnificent pyramids, the city was suddenly left empty in the 7th century. To this day, the cause of Teotihuacan's collapse remains a mystery. There is no proof of major war, and no one knows why hundreds of thousands of people left at once, leaving behind grand monuments to stand alone against time. The deeper we dig into the past, the more we realize that these strange achievements, puzzling customs, and lasting traces are all essential pieces in the search for humanity's origins. And the more mysteries that are revealed, the greater our desire to understand the unknowns of the ancient world, driving researchers to keep opening the door to the past with the help of modern science. The Book of Giants. In the dim light of history, among countless forgotten manuscripts and unsolved mysteries, the Book of Giants appears as a strange and haunting presence. Belonging to no official religion, this book is like a mirror showing the darkest depths of ancient mythology. The surviving pages were found among the mysterious collection of the Dead Sea Scrolls, believed to date back more than 2,000 years. The book's beginning takes readers back to a time before the Great Flood, when the world had not yet known the terrible punishment of the deluge. It was an era when strange beings known as the Nephilim roamed freely. According to legend, the Nephilim were not ordinary humans. They were the children of a union between the fallen angels' watchers, who dared to disobey heaven's command, and human women. Their existence showed a desire to go beyond limits and secrets hidden between two worlds. Unlike the official Bible, which only briefly mentions the Nephilim, the Book of Giants places them at the very center of tragedy. Each ancient line describes the prophetic, unsettling dreams of these giants. In these visions, Moe, one of the Nephilim leaders, sees a future of coming destruction. He dreams of a world overcome by disaster, all things wiped out as punishment for the sins shown by the giants and the Watchers. Not only humanity, but the trees, animals, and even the earth itself twisted in fear at the overwhelming power of this mixed race. Frightened and worried, Mawe sought out Enoch, the legendary prophet who served as a bridge between heaven and earth for advice, because it strayed too far from basic teachings and explored into wild and dark details about the birth and destruction of the Nephilim. The Book of Giants was finally rejected by mainstream religious authorities. They dismissed it as the product of an imagination drawn to darkness, not as the true word of God. Even so, throughout history, fringe religions like Manichaeism once considered it scripture, believing that the world's struggle between good and evil could not be fully understood through the lens of officially approved texts alone. Today, the Book of Giants continues to trouble scholars and mystery lovers alike. It not only opens the pages of the first great rebellion between angels and humans, but also raises the timeless question of the limits of pride and what happens when humans and other beings try to rise above their fate, on the unclear line between myth and hidden truth. This book stands as a reminder that sometimes the things cast out of the light are the ones most worthy of deep thought. Greek mythology and the origins of the gods. The world of Greek mythology has long captured humanity with tales of the all-powerful gods, atop Mount Olympus, beings given supernatural strength and supreme intelligence seemingly set apart from the human world. Yet there exists a bold and interesting theory. Perhaps the origins of these gods are not rooted in some distant myth, but instead began with real people, exceptional individuals who survived the Great Flood and were later honored by later generations as undying gods. In many ancient cultures, especially around the Mediterranean, those who survived catastrophic floods were often remembered as figures having extraordinary long life, living far beyond normal human limits. Some were said to live for centuries, even close to 1,000 years, and it was exactly this trait that raised their memory to something sacred in the minds of their communities. From this view, it is not hard to see why, over generations, these people were turned into the great gods of legend. One debated but fascinating example is Athena, the famous Greek goddess of wisdom. Some scholars have guessed that Athena might in fact be Nama, the daughter-in-law of Noah, who according to Western legend survived the Great Flood alongside her family. Nama was the wife of Ham, Noah's son, and is mentioned in the Bible as one of the last survivors of that worldwide disaster. If this is true, her long life and wisdom would have made her seem undying to later generations, and her story could have grown into the worship of Athena by Greek civilization. After the flood had passed, humanity entered a time of rebuilding with only a small number of people left. Those survivors became the foundation of new societies. They tended to live much longer, had deeper knowledge, and showed strengths not matched by their descendants. Two generations who lived only several decades, ancestors who survived for centuries, were nothing short of supernatural. Over time, they were remembered not just as real people, but slowly turned into myths as undying gods, the central figures of sacred stories passed down through the thousands of years. So when we look again at Greek mythology and the legends of the gods on Olympus, perhaps we are seeing an enchanting tapestry of history, where the line between human and divine is but a thin veil woven from the memories of descendants who went through the deepest disasters and held an endless faith in the survival of humankind, legends, and the pre-flood civilizations. Imagine if there was once an age when people could live for more than 800 years, a time when our ancestors saw centuries pass by as if they were nothing more than quick moments. Ancient writings scattered across the world have recorded stories of this brilliant yet mysterious era. The time of pre-flood civilizations, which existed before the Great Flood, swept everything away. Both Eastern and Western legends speak of a golden age when humans lived in harmony with the gods and life. Spans of several centuries were considered normal. To this day, there is debate. Are these tales merely myth, or do they show a chapter of human history that has been completely forgotten? Deep within the shared memory of Mesoamerican cultures, there is a paradise called Tamonchen, a land honored by the Aztec and Maya as the beginning place of humanity. For them, Tamonchen was not only a paradise for the souls of the departed, but also the home of the gods, and perhaps even the very first homeland of humanity on Earth. Thousands of years ago, when European civilizations were still hidden in darkness, cultures in Mexico kept stories of an ancient world, a place where the first humans were created and where they would one day return after death. Scholars such as Jesuit priest Juan de Tovar, who gave his life to recording Mesoamerican legends, described Tamonchen as an American version of the Garden of Eden. But unlike the paradise of the Bible, the path to Tamonchen was filled with trials. According to Aztec mythology, after death, the soul must travel through the shadowy realm of Mictlan, battle demons and restless spirits, and pass through multiple supernatural worlds before finally reaching the promised land of the gods. The big question remains: if Tamonchen ever truly existed, Where was it? And why did it disappear? Some researchers believe Tamonchan might have been located in the central highlands of Mexico, while others think it once existed near the shores of the Gulf of Mexico. Bold theories even suggest it was once the capital of a powerful civilization erased from history by a disaster. Possibly the very Great Flood echoed in so many legends. Perhaps behind these mythical tales of extraordinary long life, divine worlds, and world-ending disasters, lies humanity's unclear memory of a great civilization that vanished long ago. A civilization we can only glimpse today through faint clues and the dusty time-worn pages of ancient texts. The Angel of the Abyss. If we mention the most mysterious and terrifying figures in the Bible, we cannot fail to mention Abaddon, or by his Greek name, Apollyon. The image of the Angel of the Abyss is always wrapped in a dark mist, bringing both the horror of unstoppable destruction and the cold breath of the final day of judgment. Although he does not appear many times in the Bible, every time Abaddon's name is mentioned, it is like thunder announcing a coming storm of destruction that no one can avoid. According to the Book of Revelation, Abaddon is the one who holds the key to the abyss, that deep and dark place described as the bottomless pit that traps the souls of the departed. When the fifth trumpet sounds, this angel opens the gates of the deep, releasing a strange army of locusts, creatures that are not ordinary insects, but forms of pain and torment, bizarre in appearance, with teeth like lions, long hair like women, chests covered with iron, and tails with stingers. Under Abaddon's command, they spread terror over all humanity, punishing those who reject the faith with long suffering, not killing them, but making people long for death without any hope of relief. The name Abaddon itself says it all. In Hebrew, Abaddon means destruction, while Apollyon in Greek means the destroyer. From another view, Abaddon is not completely an evil being. Even as the angel of darkness and ruin, Abaddon is still described as a tool of final justice, carrying out the punishing will of God upon unrepentant sinful souls. Abaddon is the symbol of the ultimate horror where life is buried, hope is shattered, and humans must face the results of their wrong choices with no way back. In Jewish, Christian, and even Islamic traditions, Abaddon is sometimes a fierce angel, sometimes a symbol of the bottomless abyss where souls are punished, and sometimes even a place, a realm of the dead, with no escape. In any form, every time Abaddon appears, it is always a chilling warning about the final limits that mankind should never cross. Abaddon, Apollyon, is not simply a demon, nor merely a nightmare of religious faith. He is the form of ultimate punishment, the sentence from which there is no appeal, and the bell signaling the end of the world when all secrets are revealed. Every soul is brought into the light of judgment, and no one can escape the cold gaze of the Angel of the Abyss. The Petroglyph Beach in Alaska. On a wild, untouched island in Alaska, hidden beneath the cold waves and the whispering pines swaying in the wind, there is a place that makes anyone who sets foot there fall silent. This is Petroglyph Beach, the legendary shoreline where dozens of mysterious symbols were carved by the ancient Tlingit people into smooth gray stones thousands of years ago. When the tide goes out, each stone reveals strange engravings, spirals, faces, the shapes of whales and abstract patterns mixed with sharp, detailed designs that no civilization today has been able to fully understand. Amid the misty coastline and the sound of the wind howling from the north, these symbols seemed like messages sent from a distant past, raising countless questions that still have no answer. Some people believe these were boundary markers, a way for the Tlingit to claim their land and send a warning to strangers who dared to step onto their sacred territory. There are also theories that these carvings mark a great event, perhaps a tsunami, a war between tribes, or maybe just memories of a plentiful salmon season that brought plenty and safety to the whole village. But even more fascinating, many scholars and Tlingit descendants believe that this stone beach is a doorway to the spiritual world. Every curving line, every spiral is said to hold a prayer, a magical ritual meant to call the fish back to the river's mouth or to ask the ancestors to protect their descendants through harsh winters. That beach was once a place for mysterious ceremonies, where the community would gather to retell legends and keep their cultural traditions alive through many generations. Yet with time, those masterpieces on the stones have slowly faded, worn away by wind, waves, and the changing tide. Layers of moss have covered them. The carvings are growing fainter, and many symbols are now lost forever beneath the salt water. What remains today is just a shadow of the past, making Petroglyph Beach even more mysterious and haunting. Modern people still have not found the final answer to the true meaning of these symbols. They are like a doorway opening into the legendary world of the Tlingit, where the past, nature, and the spirit world blend together into an undying epic of Alaska, forever testing every effort to understand them. The mystery of Khufu's tomb and the strange temperature differences deep within the Great Pyramid of Giza. The tomb of Pharaoh Khufu, a legendary structure that has inspired wonder and respect across countless generations, still holds secrets that leave researchers restless and searching for answers. The first strange detail is the mysterious emptiness inside the chamber, believed to be the final resting place of Egypt's most powerful pharaoh. For thousands of years, countless explorers and archaeological teams have gone inside. But all that remains is a broken stone coffin and a few scattered pieces of wood. No sign of jewels, gold statues, or any object worthy of a king. Some have whispered about Napoleon's puzzling visit at the end of the 18th century, saying that he carried away the last treasures of this great tomb, leaving behind only those cold, echoing spaces, haunted by the passage of time. Yet, what truly confuses modern scientists goes far beyond the disappearance of objects. New research using infrared temperature measuring technology has found unexpected differences. Beneath the ancient stones of the pyramid, especially on the eastern face of the monument, the temperature of certain foundation stones is either noticeably lower or higher than those nearby, creating strange temperature zones that no one has been able to explain. These clues seemed like faint whispers from the past, hinting at the possible existence of hidden rooms, passages, or even an untouched treasure store still lying somewhere beyond those massive walls. Leading archaeologists looking at this data cannot help but wonder, is it possible that beneath the surface, beyond the rooms we already know, there are still holes or passages skillfully designed and sealed tight through the thousands of years, waiting for the day they are finally shown to humanity? The long silence in the darkness of the pyramid only makes these questions more compelling, feeding the imagination of future generations and pushing their curiosity further toward mysteries that have yet to be solved. What was Khufu truly trying to hide? And perhaps the strange secrets behind these temperature differences will continue to test human patience for many more centuries to come. The largest hadrosaur, dinosaur. Amid the ancient forests that once covered the land of China, there lived a species of plant-eating dinosaur so large that every other creature of its time had to keep a careful distance, simply because of its overwhelming size and grand presence. This was Shantungosaurus, the largest hadrosaur, duck-billed dinosaur ever recorded in fossil history. Unlike the sharp-toothed hunters that ruled the prehistoric world, Shantungosaurus chose a peaceful life, standing tall over the thick plants and quietly eating branches and leaves, yet still standing as a symbol of nature's power during the age of dinosaurs. Imagine yourself standing beneath the ancient tree cover, shadows mixing with pale shafts of sunlight, and suddenly, before you appears a giant creature, more than 23 feet tall and stretching over 52 feet from nose to tail. This is Shantungosaurus, a name that comes from the Shandong region where its first fossils were found. Compared to more famous dinosaurs like Velociraptor, the sheer size of Shantungosaurus's head is amazing, as it could measure over 5 feet long, going beyond even the full body length of an adult Velociraptor. The most remarkable feature of this dinosaur was not only its massive size, but also the unusually complex structure of its teeth. Inside its mouth, scientists have counted as many as 1,500 small teeth tightly packed in rows, forming one of the most powerful plant grinding systems of the Cretaceous period. Thanks to this special tooth arrangement, Shantungosaurus could easily crush even the toughest branches, digesting huge amounts of plant matter each day to keep up its enormous body, which weighed up to 20 tons, the same as 3 full-grown elephants combined. Although its appearance might seem awkward and heavy, Shantungosaurus was actually quite quick in its movements. Its strong back legs allowed it to travel over different kinds of ground, while its smaller front limbs helped with balance or reaching for more food among the low bushes. With its broad back and long tail, every step it took would send vibrations echoing throughout the forest. The herd lifestyle of this species only added to its strength, for when gathered in large groups, they became an unbreakable wall against the threats posed by the time's top hunters. Despite being a plant eater, Shantungosaurus carried itself with a certain dignity, its wide duck bill serving as both a gathering tool and, when needed, a shield. Its large eyes placed on either side of its head allowed it to keep close watch on its surroundings, sensing danger from afar and making a quick escape when hunters approached. Today, the massive fossilized skeletons of Shantungosaurus are shown in major museums across China, standing as a reminder of an age when the earth shook beneath the feet of these gentle giants. A time when true strength did not come from claws or fangs, but from extraordinary adjustment to the wide and varied plant world. Shantungosaurus remains a vivid proof of the richness of nature and is still an interesting mystery that each new generation continues to explore with wonder. The Treehouse Tribe. Amid the thick and mysterious rainforests of Papua New Guinea, There exists a world where time seems to stand still, where tall tree houses rise into the sky and misty air. This is the home of the Treehouse Tribe, a community that lived completely cut off from the rest of humanity for thousands of years. Their houses have often been compared to skyscrapers, as many of their tree homes reach heights of up to 130 feet. Built solely by skilled hands and the simplest of tools, these tree houses are not merely shelters. They serve as fortresses, protecting the tribe from wild animals, insects, and even the unknown threats that hide deep in the forest. Every post, plank, and step is designed to be just strong enough for a whole family to live in, and just daring enough to keep outsiders away. Seen from a distance, the homes appear to float in midair, connecting humans to nature in the most basic way. To reach their safe place, members of the tribe must climb a narrow notched ladder clinging to a tall trunk, a challenge that only those raised in the forest can hope to overcome. Their lives are self-sufficient, depending on hunting, gathering, small-scale farming, and raising a few familiar animals. For a long time, they believed that theirs was the only tribe in existence. This complete isolation lasted until the late decades of the 20th century, when Western expeditions first set foot in this remote region and recorded what had never before been known about the Treehouse Tribe. Surrounding their secretive life are countless stories and rumors that continue to interest the outside world. One of the most infamous tales is that of cannibalism, a practice that early Western journalists and explorers often made bigger in their first reports from the area. However, most modern anthropologists believe that story is largely a legend, likely born out of misunderstanding, or perhaps spread by certain tribe members themselves, as a warning to keep strangers away from their land. Today, the Treehouse Tribe has begun to interact with the modern world. Yet, their traditional values, treehouse building skills, and way of life in harmony with the forest remain a precious heritage that many admire. In a world that is always changing, the image of these tree houses in the heart of Papua New Guinea's wilderness stands as a symbol of mystery, strength, and the endless imagination of humankind. The Heart of St. Lawrence. The Heart of St. Lawrence. O'Toole was once among the most sacred relics kept at the famous Christchurch Cathedral in Ireland. Yet in 2012, this treasured object was stolen under mysterious circumstances. The story sent shockwaves, not only because of the heart's historical and religious importance, but also because of the rumors and bad luck said to follow in its wake. For years after the theft, the police could find almost no trace of the relic's location. The people of Ireland never stopped talking about its strange disappearance, and many believed that taking the heart of a saint could bring bad luck or even unleash a powerful and unpredictable curse. Exactly 6 years later, something unexpected happened. The thief quietly returned St. Lawrence's heart to the church. The real reason behind this act only deepened the sense of mystery. Those involved in the theft claimed that they had experienced a string of bad luck. Sudden and painful deaths struck their loved ones, most of them caused by heart attacks. Terrified that they had awakened a curse, they decided to return the relic to its original sacred resting place. Since then, the Heart of St. Lawrence has become not only a religious object, but also a symbol of mysteries that lie beyond human understanding, reminding everyone to show respect for the sacred values that have lasted through the centuries. The alien door on Mars. When the first images from the Curiosity rover were sent back to Earth, the world was immediately buzzing with excitement over a strange photograph right there on the empty rocky slope of Mars. A sharp-edged rectangular crack appeared as if someone had used an unseen hand to carve a doorway into the cold red surface, an entrance leading deep into the planet. The image instantly became a hot topic across forums, from scientific circles to fans fascinated by the mysteries of outer space. Bathed in Mars' orange-yellow sunlight, this door stood out with its perfectly straight edges, creating the impression of a secret entrance buried for millions of years, just waiting to be found. Some people immediately guessed that this could be proof of an ancient alien civilization. Did intelligent beings once exist who were able to build such solid structures in the Martian desert? However, NASA experts offered a more scientific explanation. They believe that the crack could have formed naturally, the result of geological processes, as layers of rock were affected by large temperature changes or surface tremors. In fact, nature can sometimes produce sharply defined shapes, eerily similar to the man-made structures we are used to seeing on Earth. Even so, the image of the Martian doorway continues to inspire endless speculation and hope. It serves as a reminder that the universe still holds countless mysteries beyond our understanding and that imagination. And the drive to explore will always push us further on our search for life, even if it is just beyond the mysterious door at the heart of the Red Planet. The abandoned oasis city, lying quietly amid the dry Rocky Mountains of northeastern Niger. Jodo was once one of the legendary oases of the Sahara Desert. There was a time when this city was an essential stop for caravans crossing the desert, a place where merchants would pause to take on water, trade goods, and rest before continuing their hard journey toward Libya or deep into Africa. Over the centuries, Jodo saw the rise and fall of many dynasties and powerful empires, from the kingdoms of the Sahel to the Islamic forces that swept across these sandy lands. During Jodo's golden age, rows of sun-baked clay and stone houses stood tall along narrow alleyways, and the voices of traders echoed beneath the shade of palm trees in the harsh sunlight. But then history took another turn. Trade routes shifted, conflicts became more frequent, and the climate grew increasingly harsh, leading people to slowly leave this once thriving land. The fortress walls, once strong and unyielding, now remain only as quiet ruins under the blazing sun, worn down by the winds and sands of passing years. Today, Jodo is no longer the busy center it once was. The city is now like a solitary ghost in the middle of a vast sea of sand, with only a few hundred people remaining, quietly living in small houses nestled beside ancient ruins. Traces of the kingdoms that once passed through can still be found, from building remains to mysterious carvings on rocks in the surrounding area, telling the story of a place that once teemed with life in the heart of an otherwise endless desert. Although it has nearly faded into memory, Jodo still stands as a clear proof of human strength in the face of harsh natural challenges and the upsets of history. This place is not just an abandoned city, but a treasure store of untold secrets about the golden past of the oasis and the journeys that once connected the ancient civilizations of the Sahara. For those who love to explore, Jodo is an invitation to step into a forgotten world, one that still breathes with the legendary spirit of the African desert. The ancient giant predatory worm. More than 500 million years ago, when Earth was still an unfamiliar and mysterious world, the early ocean stretched vast and empty of fish, while the land was nothing more than a place for simple moss and algae. In those cold waters, a remarkable creature emerged, becoming the terror of every fragile life form of its time. This was the giant predatory worm, one of the earliest and most fearsome killers in evolutionary history, given by scientists the nickname the ancient shark. If you think of worms as small, soft and harmless creatures, their ancient ancestors were something completely different. This creature could grow up to 12 inches long, a huge size for any animal without a backbone of its time. Its body was slender and flexible, with long antenna-like parts reaching forward to feel its surroundings, and a powerful jaw lined with razor-sharp teeth. Thanks to this strong mouth, it could easily tear apart smaller animals, from soft-bodied organisms to simple shellfish, making itself the top hunter of the deep. What made this worm so terrifying to other creatures of the period was not only its quick movements, but also its clever hunting tactics. It would often hide in the sediment, showing only its head, patiently waiting until unsuspecting prey wandered by. At that moment, its sharp jaws would shoot out and grab the victim in an instant. This ambush hunting method placed the ancient worm at the top of the food chain, acting as the shark of the Cambrian era, a period marked by the greatest explosion of life forms in Earth's history. Fossils of the giant predatory worm have been found in ancient rock layers in Greenland, with examples so well preserved that fossil experts can clearly picture an age when the seas teemed with strange and remarkable life. Its name Timorbistaya, meaning beast that sows terror, already hints at the power this worm once held. Compared to its contemporaries, it was a true giant, not only hunting, but also directly competing with other shellfish and soft-bodied animals, playing a key role in shaping the very first food chains on Earth. Although today, their distant relatives are just small worms living hidden beneath the seabed mud. The existence of the ancient giant predatory worm is a clear proof of nature's endless creativity. It is the story of a time when the earliest animals first learned how to hunt, to compete, and to survive on this planet, laying the groundwork for hundreds of millions of years of development in the world of natural hunters. The abandoned cinema, lying quietly in the heart of Brussels, Eden Theatre was once an essential destination for lovers of art and culture in the city. Before it bore the name Eden, this cinema went through several remarkable changes. At first, the building was built as an elegant dance hall, where the upper class would hold fancy parties and dance through the night beneath a dome full of lights. When the age of cinema arrived, this space was quickly turned into a movie theater, continuing to attract audiences with the very first films of the 20th century. Generations of Brussels people came here to enjoy movie masterpieces, losing themselves in music, moving images, and the echo of applause that filled the hall. What made Eden Theatre so uniquely charming was not only its rich past, but also its special building style. The building is a delicate mix of flowing, graceful Art Nouveau, and the mysterious beauty of Moorish design with curved domes, detailed decorative patterns, and large windows letting in streams of natural light. But time spares nothing. After decades of serving the community, Eden Theatre slowly fell into a state of serious decay. Neglected upkeep made the building dangerous, as architectural details were worn away, plaster walls peeled, and wooden floors rotted. All attempts to revive the cinema failed due to a lack of money and community interest. Today, Eden Theatre is only a shadow of its former self, lying silent in the middle of busy streets, like a sleeping giant, holding golden memories of a vanished era. Moss-covered walls, broken window frames, and an empty auditorium still seem to whisper stories of days of glory, of magical showings, and sleepless balls. Though abandoned, this cinema remains a living proof of the romantic, proud beauty of Brussels, and a reminder of the value of memory and the past. Those things that continue to last in every brick and every shadowy corner of the city. The giant predatory bird. In the wilds of South America millions of years ago, there once existed a giant bird whose very name was enough to make every other creature wary. This was Kalenkin, an extinct predatory bird known as the nightmare of the plains. Its height went past that of a grown human, reaching over 8 feet tall, with a head that alone accounted for nearly a third of that height, longer than that of any bird ever known in history. What made Kalenkin so terrifying was its massive, powerful head, equipped with a sharply curved beak, like the blade of an axe. Compared to any other predatory bird, none had such an enormous and impressive head. This beak was its main weapon, allowing it to deliver lightning-fast, brutal attacks. When it spotted prey, Kalenkin would not rush in carelessly, but would move with long strides, carefully watching before suddenly launching forward at amazing speed. A single strong peck aimed at the neck or back could break the spine, bringing down its victim almost instantly. Fossil experts believe that beyond its pure strength, Kalenkin was also a highly planned hunter. It used its exceptional height and high point to spot small mammals or reptiles across the vast grasslands. Its strong legs allowed it to sprint after prey and keep control in every chase. Unlike eagles, it did not have sharp talons, but its large head and powerful beak gave it a decisive advantage. Able to break through any protective bones its victims might have, Kalenkin's life was not just about high-risk hunts, but was also tied to the fierce struggle for survival on the dangerous plains. During the Miocene, South America was home to many strange animals, each with their own special adaptations. Yet, it was the arrival of this giant predatory bird that upset the balance of the ecosystem, setting itself as a true terror at the top of the food chain. Today, Kalenkin's fossils are treasured by scientists, serving as keys to unlock a world where flightless birds once ruled vast territories. The image of Kalenkin with its strong legs, huge head, and piercing eyes has been deeply carved into the imagination of generations, reminding us that there was a time when birds on Earth did not merely fly, but could become unmatched killers in their own right. The secret library beneath the Sphinx, hidden deep beneath the golden sands of the Giza Plateau, under the quiet gaze of the ancient Sphinx. The people of Egypt, and countless generations after, have passed down an undying legend. The Hall of Records, a vast secret library, said to contain all the legendary knowledge of humankind. According to legend, it was the god Hermes Trismegistus, the god of wisdom and writing in Egyptian culture, who founded this library. A place meant to keep mathematical formulas, astronomy knowledge, medical secrets, the art of alchemy, and even spiritual wisdom that lies far beyond the understanding of the modern world. Stories of the Hall of Records are not only kept alive in popular tales, but also appear scattered across carvings, ancient hieroglyphics in the burial grounds of Saqqara, and on the walls of royal tombs. It was once believed that pharaohs, upon passing into the afterlife, would be given knowledge from this library to become undying gods. Images of papyrus scrolls, gold tablets carved with strange symbols, and underground rooms filled with mysterious writings are still referred to in many ancient stone texts. Many modern scholars and archaeologists have tried to solve this mystery. Expeditions have come to Giza to conduct ground surveys using radar that sees into the ground in search of unusual underground spaces beneath the Sphinx. Some surveys have indeed recorded the presence of empty spaces deep under the monument's foundations, making the theory of a secret library all the more interesting. Some researchers even believe that the puzzling symbols surrounding the Sphinx's base are a kind of code leading to this lost store of knowledge. Yet, to this day, every attempt to find the Hall of Records has ended in little more than guesswork and hope. Even when American archaeologists once drilled deep beneath the statue's feet to investigate, the only result was the lasting silence of sand and stone. If it truly exists, the legendary library remains out of reach for the modern world. For that reason, the Hall of Records is still counted among humanity's greatest mysteries, stirring not only the hearts of history lovers, but also all those who dream of knowledge that goes beyond time and space. Perhaps one day, when the final layers of sand are brushed away, this treasure store of wisdom will reveal its secrets about a civilization that once grew under the sun of the Nile, the Waterloo denture trade. In the history of Europe, there are stories that seem to belong only in horror novels, yet in reality, they are the plain truths of a time when science and right and wrong were still in sharp conflict. One of the most haunting mysteries of early dentistry lies in the origins of false teeth in the 18th and 19th centuries, a time when the desire for a perfect smile led to incredible, even chilling practices. When the White Revolution, the craze for beautiful teeth, swept through the European upper class, the wealthy were always eager to have rows of perfectly straight, pearly white teeth. However, tooth technology was still basic, and materials such as wood, ivory, or metal were not suitable for daily chewing, and often caused pain. It was at this point that early dentists began to seek a source for real teeth, and they quickly found a new treasure field, the battlefield. After the bloody Battle of Waterloo in 1815, the bodies of fallen soldiers lay scattered across the European grasslands, no longer just silent witnesses of history. These men unintentionally became donors for the most beautiful sets of false teeth in Europe at the time. Traders and profit-seekers had no problem searching the bodies, pulling teeth with pliers, and collecting them to sell to dentists in England, France, and Germany. Those bright white teeth were then mounted onto frames of ivory, gold or silver, assembled into what became known as Waterloo teeth, a symbol of social standing for those who had them. In this way, the teeth of the dead from great battles became a luxury item, spreading throughout the major cities of Europe. The upper class knew little or simply didn't care about the grim origin of the smile they so proudly showed. Many ads and dental signs even boldly stated real teeth imported from Waterloo as a guarantee of quality. Today, looking back, the story of Waterloo teeth reveals not only a turning point in dental history, but also raises a series of questions about the lines of right and wrong and the value of human life in modern society. It is a shadowed corner where beauty and progress were bought with pain and the unease of silent bodies. From this truth, we can better appreciate the kind advances of medicine today, where ethics and respect for human dignity are held above all else. Pentaceratops versus Triceratops. When it comes to the most famous three-horned dinosaurs of the Cretaceous period, people often think first of Triceratops, with its impressive horns and large frill, like a sturdy shield. However, standing alongside this legend is a rival no less famous, Pentaceratops, a giant that once ruled the vast grasslands of North America. Though both belonged to the Ceratopsian family, each species had features that made them distinct icons of the ancient dinosaur world. If you placed Triceratops and Pentaceratops side by side, the differences in size and body structure would be immediately clear. Triceratops stood out for its heavy body, with an average length of over 26 feet and a weight that could exceed 6 tons. Its head was so large it took up nearly a third of its total body length. Crowned with 3 powerful horns, 2 above the eyes and 1 on the nose. Behind was a broad bony frill, with a rough outer edge like a defensive wall against hidden dangers. Pentaceratops, despite a name that means 5-horned dinosaur, actually had only 3 large horns, like Triceratops. Yet, what made Pentaceratops especially impressive was the frill at the back of its head. Compared to any other ceratopsian, Pentaceratops had a frill that was unusually long and wide, forming a huge fan that spread out behind the neck, like a natural shield. This frill not only protected its skull from sudden attacks, but also served to show its strength, a tool for attracting mates during the breeding season. The differences in skull shape also made Pentaceratops look even more dramatic, especially when seen from the front. Its cheekbones extended outward and upward, creating striking highlights on either side of the face. Thanks to this structure, the head of Pentaceratops could reach over 10 feet in length, a number far beyond many other dinosaurs. Meanwhile, Triceratops had a solid, somewhat rounder head, giving its whole body a sense of sturdiness and safety. In terms of function, the horns were not only tools for self-defense against hunters, but could also be used in fights for territory, or to show power among males. When 2 individuals faced off, those sharp horns became fearsome weapons, while the large frill offered both protection and a more impressive look, like a colorful suit of armor given by nature. In summary, while both are symbols of the 3-horned dinosaur family, Pentaceratops, each have clear traits. One stands out for its sheer size and oversized frill, like a protective shield, while the other shows strength, resilience, and readiness to face any threat. These special features have helped secure the lasting appeal of these two great warriors in the world of three-horned dinosaurs. The skeleton of the shipwrecked sailor. Amid the steep cliffs and cold winds blowing in from the Atlantic Ocean, the coastal region of Cornwall in England still holds countless sad tales of the sea and lost lives. One day, local residents unexpectedly found a human skeleton lying quietly beneath the yellow sand along a seaside path. The bones, weathered by time, still bore the clear features of a once powerful man. Expert analysis revealed that this individual had done hard physical work throughout his life with the upper body muscles, leaving their mark on the bones. Evidence of a seasoned sailor. Archaeologists determined that the skeleton dated back to around the 18th or 19th century, a time when the seas of Cornwall were known for seeing thousands of disastrous shipwrecks. In those icy waters, countless ships vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of unnamed, forgotten lives. Given the skeleton's location near the cliffs, it is likely that this man was one of the unlucky sailors washed ashore after a shipwreck in the storms. There were no personal belongings or clues to help identify him. All information about his life seemed to have been swept away by the sea in time, never to return. The story of this sailor skeleton is also the story of so many others who went to sea in Cornwall. Men who left and never returned, their bodies lying silently in nameless graves among the rocks and sand, waiting for someone to find them, only to drift once more into the legends of the sea. To this day, thousands of shipwrecks and unexcavated skeletons remain scattered along the Cornwall coast, all silently reminding us of a troubled and tragic past, where the ocean was not only a source of life, but also a bottomless grave for the adventurous dreams of mankind. The mysterious half-shark in Nova Scotia, amid the wild landscape of Oak Island, a place that for centuries has been tied to legends of lost treasure, ancient secrets, and endless searches. A strange discovery has once again stirred up excitement within the mystery hunting community. It was the image of half a shark's body washed up on the shore. The cut surface strangely smooth, as if created by a technology not of this natural world. There were no signs of biting or tearing. The body seemed to have come from an alien experiment, or perhaps fallen victim to some mysterious force hiding beneath the cold waters of the Atlantic. Oak Island has long been famous for its strange tales, from pirate gold and theories about the Knights Templar, to rumors of unknown objects once appearing off these very shores. So, when half a shark appeared with such strange exact cut marks, the theories began to grow once again. Some guessed it was the mark of an unknown sea monster, while others imagined secret underwater devices, or even some top-secret military experiment. Whatever the truth behind the cut shark may be, this image has now become a new chapter in the mysterious lore of Oak Island. This story goes far beyond the simple body of an animal. It sparks an endless curiosity about what still lies hidden beneath the surface, where no matter how far humanity has come, we have yet to solve all the mysteries of nature and the history of this place. The prehistoric Parthenon in Brittany, France. Under the blue sky of Brittany, France, across the quiet fields of stone stretching over the Karnak Peninsula, stands an ancient monument that leaves anyone who visits it speechless. This is the Cairn of Barnenes, also known as Barnenes Mound, the symbol that has been called the prehistoric Parthenon. Around 5000 BC, when Europe was still hidden in the darkness of the Neolithic Age, the earliest people silently built this wonder. More than 7,000 years have passed, and the Cairn of Barnenes still stands as a powerful proof of the creativity and strength of our distant ancestors. What makes the Cairn of Barnenes so amazing is not only its age, but also its sheer size, which goes beyond imagination. The whole structure stretches over 230 feet in length, nearly 82 feet in width, and rises to a height of 30 feet, comparable to a modern building. With a total weight of more than 12,000 tons of stone, built before the Great Pyramid of Giza by centuries. The Cairn of Barnenes is one of the largest surviving prehistoric monuments in Europe. Inside, there are 11 rooms, with hallways leading deep underground, each passage laid out with remarkable exactness, bearing the mark of a mysterious civilization that to this day scientists have yet to fully understand. The history of the Cairn of Barnenes almost faded into memory. In the 19th century, local people viewed it simply as a pile of strange rocks, unaware of its true value. Many of the stones were removed to build houses and roads. It was not until the mid-20th century, thanks to the tireless efforts of archaeologist Pierre-Roland Giot and his colleagues, that the monument was dug up, restored, and returned to nearly its original state. During the digging, Archaeologists found countless ancient objects, broken pottery, stone axes, arrowheads, and fine jewelry from both the Stone Age and the Bronze Age. The carvings on the stone walls, images of axes, bows, and mysterious symbols have stayed whole for thousands of years, opening a door into the distant past of ancient people. Yet, the greatest mystery of the Cairn of Barnenes lies in its very purpose. Although many have called it an ancient tomb, there is still no clear proof that it was ever used for burial. Not a single grave or human remain has been found inside, and the monument seems to hold a meaning far greater than that. Was it a place for religious rituals, a center of power for a once strong tribe in this land? Or perhaps it was a sky marker tracking the changing of the seasons and connecting humanity to the vast universe? Though the answer remains unknown, the Cairn of Barnenes continues to stand quietly amid the wild landscape, becoming an undying symbol of prehistoric Europe, a priceless archaeological treasure that generations of scholars and visitors alike are drawn to think about and explore. And whenever the evening sun shines through the ancient gray stones, it feels as if one is seeing a moment of connection between modern people and the ancient spirits that still remain here. The largest whale ever discovered. If you ever thought that the blue whale represented the peak of greatness in the animal world, you may have to think again when you hear about a discovery that has stunned the scientific community in recent times. Parusetus colossus, the giant of the prehistoric ocean. A fossil whale found in the dry desert of Peru, but which once ruled over the seas millions of years ago. Not only was this creature huge in size, but it also had a skeleton so heavy that scientists were amazed its bones are believed to have weighed up to 3 times as much as those of the blue whale, the largest animal ever known to have lived on Earth. The journey to find Parusetus colossus began on an ordinary morning in the Ica desert, where wind and sand cover every sun-scorched rock, and few would imagine that the secrets of prehistory lay buried below. As fossil experts carefully removed layer after layer of earth and stone, they were amazed by the massive bones lying in a row, like traces of a creature beyond imagination. The skeleton was so large that a single backbone alone weighed more than an adult human, and the whole skeleton could reach tens of tons. This is a number never before recorded in any earlier study of whales. What is remarkable about Parusetus colossus is not just its size, but the weight of its skeleton. While the modern blue whale can reach up to 150 tons, estimates suggest that Parusetus colossus may have weighed more than 300 tons, a number that overshadows all previous records. Its bones are unusually thick and dense, possibly as an adaptation to life in shallow coastal waters, or to withstand the strong lift of ancient oceans. Each backbone, each rib, is like a work of art made by nature, telling the story of a giant that once swam quietly beneath the waves, roaming the vast oceans that once stretched across South America. Unlike the graceful, quick blue whale of today, Parusetus colossus brings to mind the image of a slow, heavy creature. Not fast, but incredibly durable and powerful. The found fossils show that its bones were very solid, with every joint large and sturdy like pillars, holding up an entire underwater kingdom. It is believed that this super heavy skeleton allowed Parusetus colossus to sink easily and stay still in the water, avoiding being swept away by strong waves and fierce currents, while also giving an advantage in searching for food in sediment-rich coastal waters. The most impressive thing about Parusetus colossus is that this whale is not only huge, but also opens a new chapter in the development history of sea animals. Before this discovery, many scientists believed that the record for absolute weight belonged only to the blue whale. But Parusetus colossus has shown that nature still holds mysteries yet to be solved. Perhaps millions of years from now, beneath layers of dry rock or deep in the ocean, there will still be other huge skeletons waiting to be found by humankind. Looking at the skeleton of Parusetus colossus today, anyone can feel overwhelmed by the huge scale that nature once gave to the oceans. The heavy backbones, the massive ribs, all tell the story of a time when the seas were filled with giants, where the strongest was not always the most fierce hunter, but rather those giants who quietly went beyond time, leaving a lasting mark on the path of life on Earth. The necropolis of Maria, lying amid the empty deserts of Egypt. The city of Maria had long been forgotten beneath the sands of time, only to be awakened by one of the most remarkable archaeological discoveries in recent years. The necropolis of Maria, as layer upon layer of earth and stone was carefully removed. What appeared before the archaeologists was a large burial complex, along with a wealth of valuable objects, marking this site as the political and religious heart of the whole region for centuries. The archaeologists found not only ancient buildings, but also many stone slabs carved with jet black, Coptic writing revealing stories of ancient gods once worshipped here, as well as traces of written works, scrolls, and ritual objects. Among the largest tombs, they dug out a broken wooden coffin containing the remains of a woman who had held a special place in society. Beside her were a decorated mask, ancient bead necklaces, bronze mirrors, and small clay jars, all bringing to mind the image of a ruling priestly upper class, buried with the utmost honor and richness of their age. What makes the necropolis of Moria truly special lies, not only in its size, or the sheer number of relics, but also in the deep historical message it carries. Here, beneath the empty sand, are the traces of a highly developed ancient Egyptian society, where political and religious power mixed into one. Moria was once the resting place for provincial governors, high priests, and members of the upper class, as well as proof of a complex multi-level system of rule, in which every position from rulers and priests to lower officials had its own clear place in the social structure. Beyond showing the spiritual life and beliefs of its people, the necropolis of Moria also opens new chapters in the understanding of power and organization in ancient Egypt. The writings on the walls, the images of gods, and the mysterious burial rituals allow researchers to piece together the wider picture of the relationships between the state, religious authority, and the people. Thanks to these findings, modern people can see more clearly a civilization that once grew along the banks of the Nile, a place where death was not the end, but merely the beginning of another journey into the undying world. The Kingdom of Kush, stretching along the gentle flow of the Nile River. The Kingdom of Kush was once a shining jewel in the land that is now Sudan. While Egypt is world famous for its great pyramids, Kush was by no means less. Having created its own brilliant culture that lasted for thousands of years and left a lasting mark on the map of human history. In ancient times, the people of Kush lived under the shadow of Egypt's power. For centuries, they went through being ruled as well as cultural, religious, and building influences from the ancient Egyptians. Yet, with unyielding spirit, the Kushites kept developing their own special identity. From the 11th century BC, they slowly regained their freedom, building a strong kingdom known as Nubia, and even went further, taking control of Egypt itself and setting up the legendary dynasty of the Black Pharaohs recorded in history. The clearest legacy of Kush is still found in the small pyramids scattered across the deserts of present-day Sudan. Although small in size compared to their relatives at Giza, they have their own unique building style and show the ambition of a people who once struggled to rise above being ruled. Beyond these large structures, the Kingdom of Kush became a busy trading center where goods, ideas, and cultures flowed between Africa, Egypt, and distant lands. Though there was a time of glory, the fate of Kush finally gave in to repeated waves of conquest from the outside world. When Rome conquered Egypt in the 1st century AD, Kush lost its trading partner and longtime rival along with its freedom. Its power slowly faded over time, and this once great kingdom eventually gave way to new empires. Although Kush has faded into the past, the traces it left behind still remind us of a civilization that once grew along the Nile, a place where people not only defied fate, but also wrote a heroic chapter of history through their endless search for freedom and creativity. The giant earwig, in the world of insects, already filled with strange creatures. Few could have imagined that there was once a species of giant earwig living right into modern times. And it has only recently vanished from the earth forever. This was the giant St. Helena earwig, a creature whose name might sound like pure fantasy to many, but in reality, this insect was once part of our planet's web of life with a body length of nearly 4 inches, many times larger than any living earwig species today. For those who have never seen an earwig before, imagine a long glossy black insect with a noticeable abdomen and a pair of curved pincers like 2 blades, always ready to grip any rival or prey that wandered too close. But on St. Helena, a remote island in the Atlantic Ocean, once the kingdom of strange and unique animals, this earwig grew to a truly amazing size. Its rear pincers were so large they looked like tiny iron tongs. Thanks to its huge appearance, every sighting of the St. Helena earwig drew attention and gave a shiver to anyone with a fear of insects. Despite its fierce look, the giant earwig actually led a rather hidden life. During the day, it hid beneath large rocks, burrowed deep into rotting leaves, or squeezed into damp cracks to avoid the harsh island sun. Nightfall was when this creature would come out from its hiding place to search for food, mostly eating rotting plant matter and small insects. Notably, this species was also famous for its remarkable care for its young. Females would carefully guard the nest, keep the eggs clean, and care for the next generation until they were big enough to find food on their own. The sad reality is that although the giant earwig once thrived for centuries on St. Helena, it simply could not survive the fast environmental changes brought by humans. Rock digging, house building, and making new roads caused the earwig's traditional shelters to disappear. After 1967, no living examples were found in searches. By 2014, the world officially recognized the disappearance of the giant St. Helena earwig, marking the end of one of the most remarkable insects ever discovered. The story of the giant earwig is not just a sadness for a strange creature lost to time, but a warning about the cost of losing natural homes. If nature can no longer provide safe places for unique species, whether insects or large mammals, their disappearance becomes certain. The image of the St. Helena earwig will remain a haunting and unsettling memory of a time when nature was both magnificent and fragile, once existing in the heart of the modern world. Marriage in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, the idea of marriage was completely different from the way we view it today. There were no big wedding ceremonies or binding rituals seen by relatives and friends. A marriage truly began the moment a woman crossed the doorway into her husband's home, bringing with her items that both families had previously agreed upon. These could be donkeys, food, or other supplies for the new life. Marriages at that time were almost always arranged by the parents, with every detail carefully thought about in terms of belongings and the honor of both families. Agreements before marriage were quite common, especially when the bride brought a valuable gift of goods. If the marriage was no longer happy and divorce became needed, these belongings would be returned to the woman, and all children would stay under the mother's care, a rarity among civilizations of the same time. The most remarkable point was the position of women in ancient Egypt. They were given much greater freedom and equality than in many other places, were not seen as the property of their husbands, could own their own belongings, and were protected by law in the event of divorce. Although some rules remained in the hands of men, it was clear that Egyptian society offered women special rights, allowing them to take a more active part in family life. However, there was a special exception related to the royal class. Members of the royal family often had to marry their own siblings in order to keep the purity of the royal bloodline and strengthen power. This practice stood in sharp contrast to the views of the wider society, where marriage between family members was strictly forbidden and not accepted. This opposition created a special mix of the familiar and the mysterious in the story of marriage in ancient Egypt. The giant koala. On the Australian continent, millions of years ago, there was a creature that would have made anyone entering its world stop and look in wonder and respect. This was the giant ancestor of the koala. Loved by people today, Phascolarctos sturtoni. While modern koalas are small enough to fit neatly on a single tree branch, in the distant past, whole forests seemed to belong to these quiet giants. Imagine a fresh morning, sunlight filtering through the thick leaves above, and the shadow of a giant koala moving among the high branches. Phascolarctos sturtoni truly was a giant compared to its modern relatives. Its average weight could reach up to 150 pounds, 5 times heavier than today's koala. With a strong body and thick, shaggy fur that helped it adapt to the changing weather of the Ice Age. Despite their size, they were expert climbers thanks to sharp claws and strong arms that allowed them to hold tight to high branches and move easily across the forest top like ghostly giants. The diet of this ancient koala was not much different from that of today's species, consisting mainly of eucalyptus leaves. However, with such a huge body, Phascolarctos had to eat a far greater amount of leaves to sustain itself, making it an essential part of the prehistoric Australian rainforest ecosystem. Its instinct to stay hidden in the trees helped it avoid ground hunters, while also taking advantage of a rich food source that few other creatures could reach. Yet, no matter how strong or well-suited it was, the giant koala could not escape the harshness of natural change. As the climate slowly turned drier, eucalyptus forests began to shrink and food became harder to find. Its large body, once an advantage, now became a burden when the available resources could no longer meet its needs. On top of that, the arrival of humans and new hunters made survival even harder for Phascolarctos sturtoni. As the forests shrank, these giants of the trees lost their hiding places and were finally erased from the story of life, making way for smaller, more quick species able to adapt to a changing world. Today, whenever we see the small, quiet koalas sitting on tree branches, it's hard to imagine that their ancestors were once the rulers of the treetops. The disappearance of Phascolarctos sturtoni serves as a quiet reminder of the power of nature and the fragility of every species, no matter how large or strong, in the unstoppable march of time and environmental change. The Spanish conquistadors. The history of the Americas went through a huge change when ships from Spain landed in the New World, bringing with them the desire to conquer and a firm belief in their God-given mission to bring light. Leading the ranks of the conquistadors were Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro, two men who wrote a bloody yet chaotic chapter in the history of Latin America. Hernán Cortés, a young nobleman, set foot on the coast of Mexico in 1519. Although he did not arrive with a large army, Cortés had sharp diplomatic skills and a rare boldness. He quickly realized that deep internal splits existed within the Aztec Empire, one of the greatest civilizations of the Americas at the time. Cortés skillfully formed alliances with tribes that had long been mistreated by the Aztecs, turning enemies into friends and joining forces to strike at the heart of Tenochtitlan. In just a few short years, he not only overthrew Emperor Moctezuma, but also brought an end to the dazzling empire that had once ruled the lands of Mexico. At the same time as Cortés, Francisco Pizarro turned his attention southward, facing the mighty Inca Empire that stretched across the Andes of Peru. Despite having a small force, Pizarro knew how to take advantage of internal conflict among the Inca and used cleverness and better weapons to rule an immense territory. His victory over Emperor Atahualpa paved the way for Spain to seize the huge gold and silver riches of South America, bringing wealth and power back to the royal court in Europe. It was not just military strength that the conquistadors relied upon. They also spread Catholicism across the new continent, building churches, bringing priests, and starting a wave of religious change never seen before in the region's history. They set up new systems of rule, redrew the map of power, and divided lands that once belonged to great empires into colonies under Spanish control. The impact of the conquistadors went far beyond the limits of a military campaign. Their conquest marked the beginning of a wave of taking over that would last for centuries, forever changing the face, culture, and future of the Americas. From the ruins of ancient cities to the grand churches that rose atop old foundations, the legacy of this time remains deeply embedded in Latin America, reminding us of a time when history was written in both glory and deep pain. Night hunting dinosaurs. Night hunting dinosaurs, a mystery solved thanks to modern technology, have brought a fresh view to the way people imagined the prehistoric world. For many decades, both the public and the scientific community assumed that dinosaurs were daytime rulers, while only small and timid mammals went out after dark. Yet, recent research has overturned that thinking, opening up an entirely new view of the lives of these giants that once ruled the earth. The key to this change in thinking lies in the fossilized eyes of dinosaurs themselves. By studying the structure of the scleral ring, a bony ring within the eye socket, scientists realized the dinosaur eyes held deep secrets about their daily rhythms. The scleral ring is a small circle of bone found in the eye sockets of dinosaurs, birds, and many reptiles today, and it plays an important part in deciding an animal's activity pattern. By measuring the ratio between the outer and inner widths of this bone ring, researchers have been able to identify which species were active during the day and which were built for action when darkness fell. The first findings amazed scientists. While most large plant-eating dinosaurs, the eating machines of the ancient world, were active both day and night, almost without rest. Smaller hunting dinosaurs, such as Velociraptor, showed all the signs of creatures of the night. Their scleral rings were much larger, allowing them to gather more faint light, well suited for hunting and ambushing prey after the sun had set. As for the huge plant eaters, keeping up their large bodies required constant searching for food, day and night, stopping only during the hottest hours. These results have shaken not only our idea of dinosaurs, but also our understanding of ancient ecosystems. It turns out that in the forests and plains of the Mesozoic era, life after dark was just as lively and intense as during the day. The smartest, most quick hunters chose darkness as their partner, launching surprise attacks on unsuspecting prey. Even the largest giants, no matter their size, dared not sleep peacefully through the depths of night. The study of the scleral ring has opened a window into a world where light and darkness shared rule, showing the true variety, adaptability, and development of dinosaurs. From the tiniest detail, a single bone within a fossilized eye socket, scientists have rebuilt the rhythms of life, breath by breath, of these magnificent creatures, showing us that the age of dinosaurs was not just a story of bright daylight, but also a mysterious song beneath an ancient moon. If any creature on Earth can be called living proof of the passing of time, it is certainly the coelacanth, a fish nicknamed the living fossil that has amazed scientists and the world alike. The coelacanth first appeared more than 400 million years ago, even before the age of the dinosaurs. Over hundreds of millions of years, while countless giant creatures disappeared from the face of the earth, the coelacanth quietly lasted in the deep waters, becoming a living witness to both the most glorious eras and the most violent changes in the planet's history. People once believed the coelacanth had died out with the dinosaurs. Its only remained silent fossils embedded in ancient rock. For decades, it appeared in books and museums as a mysterious prehistoric fish, showing the variety of life of a distant age. But everything changed in 1938, when a fisherman off the coast of South Africa unexpectedly caught a strange fish with awkward leg-like fins and a shape unlike any modern creature. Scientists could hardly believe their eyes, because this fish looked exactly like the coelacanth fossils, truly a returnee from the past. That discovery shocked the world's scientific community. For the coelacanth had not only survived multiple mass deaths, but had lasted all the way to the present day. No one could have imagined that in the depths of the ocean, there still existed living beings that had changed so little after hundreds of millions of years of development. The coelacanth is a large fish with an average length of over 5 feet, scales as thick as armor, and most noticeably fleshy lobe fins. A rare feature in modern fish, considered a bridge between fish and the first four-legged animals to move onto land. Even more remarkable about this species is its amazing lifespan. Recent research has shown that coelacanths can live for more than 100 years, making them among the longest-lived fish in the ocean. They grow very slowly, taking decades to reach adulthood, and the pregnancy period for females can last nearly 5 years, something very rare among all animals. This slow-paced life makes coelacanths weak to environmental changes, but it has also helped them survive the planet's great natural changes for millions of years. Today, the coelacanth is very rare, found only in a few deep ocean regions off the Indian Ocean and Indonesia. They live at depths near 2,300 feet, moving slowly among rocky reefs, seemingly untouched by the fast currents of the modern world. Every time a coelacanth is found in the wild, science is given a rare look of the ocean's time machine, a place where the lines of life, death, and development blur into one. Just looking into the deep eyes of a coelacanth, one is reminded of the persistence and strength of life against the harshest tests of time. While many giant animals have disappeared forever, the coelacanth remains quietly swimming through the depths, becoming an undying symbol of nature, where wonders can still happen if you have the patience to listen to the stories echoing from the past. Horseshoe crab. Within the ancient rock layers stretching along the Russian coastline, scientists have just revealed a unique discovery: a giant, very spiny horseshoe crab species that once lived in the somewhat salty waters where sea and river met hundreds of millions of years ago. This is not just an ordinary fossil, but a key that unlocks the distant past of Earth, when the first creatures began taking over the shoreline environments. This creature, named the spiny limulus, is one of the oldest known members of the horseshoe crab family. Unlike the gentle look of modern horseshoe crabs, the spiny limulus had a large shell covered with sharp spines and noticeable armored fins running down both sides of its body, making it look like a prehistoric armored warrior. This structure not only protected it from hunters in the chaotic era, but also allowed limulus to move icily across soft mud or coastal pebbles where waves and tides were always shifting. The remarkable feature of the spiny limulus lies in its strong adaptation to a wide range of homes. Instead of being limited to saltwater environments, it could go far into river mouths and coastal marshes, ready to use any food source from rotting matter to tiny floating creatures in the water. This flexibility helped limulus survive through the harsh changes of nature from the Triassic to the Jurassic period. While many other species slowly disappeared, the legacy of the spiny limulus is not just its sharp-edged armor, but the amazing survival story of the whole horseshoe crab family, stretching over hundreds of millions of years. Although most of its relatives have died out, the ancient descendants of limulus still survive in today's oceans. Proof of the ongoing ability to adapt and develop of a creature that might otherwise seem ordinary. The appearance of the spiny limulus in natural history is a vivid snapshot of a world that was once incredibly rich and mysterious, opening up new questions for researchers about the path of development and disappearance of the last armored warriors along the ancient Russian shores. The Roman god of volcanoes. In the world of Roman mythology, Vulcan is not only the god of fire, but also the lord of forging, of thunder and lightning, and of the volcanoes that burn beneath the earth. Unlike many other gods, Vulcan's temple was not built in the center of Rome, but had to stand on the outskirts, separate from the city itself. The ancient Romans always carried with them a fear of the unpredictable power of fire and volcanoes, so they believed that keeping a safe distance from the fire god was the best way to protect the city from his anger. Each year, when August arrived, the Romans held the Vulcanalia festival outside the city walls at Vulcan's quiet temple. On this day, fires were kept burning all night and gifts were thrown into the flames. hoping the god would spare the city from great fires and protect the harvest. It was a moment when the whole community turned toward a force beyond human control, approaching it with both respect and a plea for the fire god's mercy. The image of Vulcan is itself marked by the complexity of a god who went through tragedy. According to legend, Vulcan was the son of the goddess Juno and the god Jupiter. From an early age, he faced a cruel fate. Thrown down from heaven by his father for daring to go against Jupiter's will in order to protect his mother. That terrible fall left Vulcan disabled, setting him apart from the other gods. Yet, it was from this pain that Vulcan found his strength. He built a great forge in the heart of a volcano, where alongside the Cyclopes, he created the most powerful weapons and magical objects for both gods and mortals. On another occasion, Vulcan used his skill to get back at his mother, Juno, who had turned her back on him after his fall. He made a beautiful golden throne and gave it to her as a gift. But when Juno sat upon it, the throne clamped shut, trapping her as a prisoner of the very gift her son had made. Only when the other gods pleaded with him did Vulcan give in and free his mother in exchange for having his place given back on Olympus. Vulcan's story is not just a journey from suffering to power. It is also proof of the meeting of fear and hope in the Roman mind when facing disasters and the ever-present forces of nature. By worshipping Vulcan, the Romans not only sought protection, but also learned to face, master, and overcome the trials of fire and earth. It is an essential piece in the picture of the cultural and historical legacy of an empire that once stretched to the ends of the known world. If you find these mysterious stories fascinating, please leave your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next discoveries. See you in the next video.